Back on, Gerty Rude, back again, that Thursday mood. Well, here we are, we're on the precipice of the weekend, only one more day to go, and we've made it, all of us collectively, we've got there together. We've got a great big storm coming down here where I am in Sussex, so I've been dashing around battening down the hatches, you know, and there's so many hatches that need battening down where I'm concerned. So I thought we'd have a look at this. RUDAKUBANA said, oh no, I won't read that out. Right, deeply deranged man, well, we knew that. I thought we'd review this horrible little oik that's got sentenced today for the atrocity in Southport last August. It was the beginning of the August school summer holidays, wasn't it? So we'll jump in together and see what happens.
Let's talk to Helen Fields right now. She's a former criminal barrister and author and joins us now. Good afternoon to you, Helen.
Hello, Julia.
I mean, it's just harrowing what is coming out of the court. Just what little bit we have heard before this, the killer was taken out of court. First of all, can we just talk about the evidence that we're hearing now, which we would have heard in the court case had he not pleaded guilty? And we know that there was no planned defence. He refused to cooperate with his defence barristers, and he was a complete surprise to them when he did suddenly. He'd been silent in 5 previous court hearings, where people come to court many times, and then he entered this guilty plea to all 16 charges.
So should have done.
Now he's being sentenced, but it's just been taken out of court. What do you make of what we'd already heard, just that he told police that he was happy that the children had died?
No, well, he's quite...
Yeah.
Before she talks, he's obviously quite mental. We've all seen the pictures of him. He was brought over here. His parents he's from Rwanda originally. And we all know that in the 90s, early 90s, there was that great Rwandan genocide, wasn't there? When the Hutus just turned and took on... genocided all the Tutsis. So, yeah, their friends, neighbours, didn't matter who they were. It was a similar thing that goes on in a genocidal situation. And after it was sorted out, I don't know who sorted it out. Was it the United Nations? Or did they just... I think somebody stepped in. You've got... I mean, have you ever watched Hotel Rwanda? My God, I couldn't sleep for nights after watching that. It's an absolutely awful... Obviously, people of our age lived through it, kind of remembered it. But we did house a lot of the offending Hutus, you see, darlings, at the end of because they were in... Once peace was restored, obviously people were looking for retributions, and I don't think there was any, reconciliation trials like they had in South Africa. Truth and reconciliation went out the door. Basically, when truth was restored, there was a lot of people that needed rounding up, and for the laws of Rwanda to have been actioned fully upon these offending Hutus, at which point people like us and countries like us stepped in and took said offending Hutus under the heading that they were now at risk of losing their lives, you see, darlings. So this is how we ended up. I mean, he might have been a Tutsi, his parents, he might have been from the Tutsi sort of tribe, whatever. We don't know, do we, darlings? But the thing is, yeah, the Hutus, da-di-da-di-da. I'm wondering if, because he was... I don't know whether he was conceived over here. Obviously, none of us do. But we have been told he was born over here. So, could he be a product of that whole... I mean, it's a bit weird that he's turned out so psychopathic, like homicidal, crazy, cranky. Do you think as he's grown up, he was listening to accounts of his parents, friends, families, and different things he's heard? Or is it a case of the apple didn't fall too far from the tree in this particular situation? Because you've only got to look at that young man's eyes to see that, there's nothing going on, darling. The lights aren't on and there literally isn't anybody at home with him. And I've seen him and I know what I'd like to do to him and what should have been done to him a very long time ago when he first started getting fisticuffs with people at school and other students and everything. And had that happened, maybe, I think things may not have turned out the way they have, because sometimes people like that just need putting in their place early on, don't they, really? Darlings, they really do. But never fear. Don't fear people in Voodoo world, because where he's going, he will get the retribution that he so rightly deserved, and he should have had a clip round the head, years ago, or smack on the bottom. Shouldn't he? When he was much, much younger, it might have prevented him growing up to be a lunatic. I don't know. We don't know. Nobody knows. I'm only surmising. Come on, Julia.
It's an extraordinary thing to hear, even given some of the terrible cases that our court system has dealt with in the past. It's a marker, really, of just how deeply deranged this young man must be.
Yeah, it was deranged,
And I know that the defence lawyers have said that they...
I'm wondering why they've got pictures. Are they apples behind? Apples and trees again, darlings, you know. I don't know. Honestly, straight face. I'm not laughing. I'm not making merry because it's disgusting and disgraceful. And I feel sorry for the parents of it because he went in court cocky as a little whatnot like they do. The little G thinks he's a little G. Where he's going, he'd be a very little G. Very, very little G. And it'd be many years before he'd be able to get a shower on his own. Do you get me? So, yeah, all of that's going to wait for him. And now he's decided that he's not feeling too good, so I had to take him out of court. So, as there was some suggestion that he might have been spitting at the court officials and officers, do you know what I mean? He needs sedating, doesn't he? I don't feel sorry for his parents, not in the least, don't care, shouldn't be over here. Why are we taking in people that have committed genocide? Why? Or in any way been involved in that scenario? In any case, I don't care, not interested. Don't want to hear their hard luck stories. Maybe they shouldn't have done what they did. But we're bleeding hearts over here. And guess who's in charge of the Crown prosecution? And all the human rights lawyers. If you remember old Blair, he was big on the human rights because he signed us up for the European human rights, didn't he? All that BS. And which was quite fortuitous considering he was married to a human rights lawyer, you see. And they're now multimillionaires. And I'm sure there is no correlation between those 2 points. None at all. Just coincidence, darlings.
Won't be producing a psychiatric report.
No, he's off the scale.
But there are
psycho.
issues about mental health. But what we now know, of
Mental
course, is that
health.
this
About
young
my mental health,
man's
I have to listen to
problems and fascination with violence, terrible fascination, go back a really long way.
Right.
To the extent that it's then the context of that he's been interested in all sorts of different organisations who have historically been guilty of violence. You know, I'm not...
So you could almost give him a sway, considering what I've just told you, looking at the background. You know, if he was a toddler, say, in that scenario in Rwanda, and all this is going on and his parents are involved in it, in whatever manner, or just he's seeing it or imbibing the atmosphere, you can kind of see that. You can see, oh, maybe that's where it all went wrong. No excuse for his behaviour. I'm not trying to find any excuse. I'm just wondering why, you know, somebody like that was created so mad. And it's not mad in a mental health, oh bless them type of way. It's mad in a, oh my God, lock him up in Broadmoor kind of way, isn't it? Which should have been done. How many times was he referred to prevent? And they didn't prevent him from, or do anything really. They said he was okay. He didn't mean it. He's never going to act on it. I think apparently is what Prevent said. That was their pronouncement on the situation.
Desperately surprised, but it's devastating. It takes an awful lot for families to go to court, to sit in a courtroom. It's a long journey from when the offences happen to get there.
Yeah, it's horrible.
The very last thing they need to hear. And of course, the judge will be taking it into account because people who are genuinely...
Yeah, especially when you've lost a child and you've got to sit in court and you've got to sit with these people that have done it, and then you've got to listen to all this, that and the other. It's usually quite a distance between the loss of your bereavement and the tragic occurrence or the crimes being committed to when you find yourself in court and you're trying to get some sort of equilibrium, not only obviously for yourself, but because when you lose a child, you almost feel bad that you stop grieving them. You feel... I know I felt that I should flagellate myself till the end of my life. And I wasn't, in no way could I even ever smile again. It just felt so wrong. It's... You go, obviously, all you people out there that have lost a child, you get me? Yeah? It's... nothing seems worthwhile and you feel guilty about feeling okay. You feel like it should have been you. If anything happened, it should have been you, not them. So these poor parents have then got to have it all churned back up, relive it all again and sit in the courtroom and listen to it. It's harrowing. It's absolutely harrowing. And of course he didn't plead guilty or anything. He wasn't bothered. In fact, he was quite delighted. It was only at the last minute today he went guilty. Or was it yesterday? I think it might have been yesterday. Because before, he wouldn't even speak to his own lawyers. He just sat there and ignored them. So, and I don't think that's, it's obviously his mental, yeah, well, maybe and maybe not, no one cares, bleeding hearts has got us where we are.
remorseful and who seem to be sorry from what they did from an early stage will get a more sympathetic hearing to an extent, although that extent is very small in a murder case. But the judge will take this into account, and when he's looking at, because of course the judge is today deciding what the minimum sentence will be.
Well, you see, this is it. I think they're going to go on to say it in a minute. I think it was 10 days off being 18, so were they going to sentence him as an adult, or were they, because he committed the crime when he was a minor, albeit 9 days or 10 days off of being an adult and reaching his majority, and, you know, the full life adult tariff would have been for him. I don't even know whether it's, maybe he should do, you know, quite a few decades in Clink, but he should be in a cage somewhere, really. Not being funny, he shouldn't he? Let's have it right. He should just be in a cage somewhere and forgotten about. Why do we take him? We got enough cretins of our own. Why do we take in other people's?
Before RUDAKUBANA is eligible for parole, that's going to be a very high number.
Yeah.
Well, indeed. I mean, we knew early, you know...
And we know who gave him asylum, don't we, darlings? Go on, Julia.
He plea went in that he could not get a whole life tariff because he was
not
17.
Him, gave his parents
is it 21
asylum,
or 18? At which point that whole life tariff cannot be applied. Which is, even if he gets, you know, a life sentence and then a minimum time, I mean, realistically, he could be out on the streets, you know, in his 40s, could he not?
Nah.
Well, he could.
I don't think he will.
Strongly suspect here that our worst concerns about that may not come to light. You're looking at the judge setting a minimum term before which he can even go before the parole board. But what will happen then is the parole board have to look at all the circumstances and be certain that he does not pose the same risk going out.
See, it's bullshit, that as well. I totally, the ladies are just talking about the law as it stands. I don't say what they're saying is bullshit. I mean, if you look back on his criminality, his career of criminality, his offending was increasing over a long period of time, from even as a small child onwards and onwards, and at each and every chance and signpost that people could have stepped in and maybe tackled him head on. And again, if he was a white working class lad acting out like that, beating people up at school, bloody blah blah, and acting badly at school and badly towards violently, and also idealising and having violence ideation, which he vocalised quite a lot. Had people stepped in and done something, then would this have been prevented, you see? Is there a whole lot of markers along the way that this could have been prevented, and it was just like a steam train coming at society at 100 miles an hour, with nobody, again, the professional classes, all sidestepping their job, really? So, you know. A lot might have been as well, when they've got the family history. Oh, he's a product, his parents run away from Rwanda after the genocide, and blah-de-blah. So when that comes on a professional white white middle class professional person in Britain's case study, and they look at it and they think, oh well, that might be why he's a bit violent, he'll grow out of it, this, that and the other, and again don't want to tackle the real root cause of what's going on. It's complex. I think the only thing that would have really stopped this happening, considering all the factors involved, which is the nonchalance of the professional classes and also the violence background. I mean, look into the genocide of Rwanda if you haven't. Look into it. My God, I thought I'd read it all, because I've read, obviously, history books all my life, like dozens, hundreds, darlings, hundreds. I've never ever read anything as atrocious. Well, maybe I have, but you know what I mean, it's still the same. I think it's more thing because it was in our lifetime, it was in my lifetime, it was while I was like a young woman bringing my kids up in Eastbourne. Over there in Rwanda, they're just bleeding doing the most unspeakable things to one another. So, yeah, it was a train coming at us, and why do we take people like that? The only thing that would have prevented it is to not take people like that, especially when they're on the offending side. Only we took that guy from India that caused all that trouble in India, and when he was, got his collar felt. He was a president or something, wasn't he? Musharraf, whatever that bleeding name was. Anyway, he got his collar felt, and oh dear, he might have been in danger then of actually having to accept the circumstances of his offending behaviour under the Indian constitution. Oh no, we gave him asylum, didn't we? Give him asylum because we didn't want his hurty feels. Maybe he shouldn't have been like that. Why aren't we like that? Why are these bleeding hearts just letting people in willy-nilly? Oh yeah, what have you been doing? Oh, you've been hacking up people. What, your neighbours and everything? What, in Rwanda? And now they're going to put you on trial. Oh yeah, no, you've got asylum. You better come over here. Yeah, because Keir Starmer, the head of prosecution, says you must. Go on.
have to say, having looked at all the circumstances of this case and the young man's background and the extent to which agencies have been involved,
the immigration service.
It is possible.
Oh no, I've got that wrong. No, he wasn't. What he was in the immigration service back in early 94, 95, wasn't he, darlings? Yes, that's where it marries up. Sorry, so scrub that. Yeah, because it's come out that it was later. He was the Crown Chief Prosecution. He was actually involved in. Wasn't he involved in actually getting asylum? These people asylum rights or something like that under the Blair government. It's so dodgy as to be indiscernible, really.
Ghana will not be walking on our streets again for decades and decades, and thank goodness.
I mean, thank goodness. I would say never, but there we are. We understand that the sentencing hearing is going to continue without Axel RUDAKUBANA. We understand he did not want to attend. He was brought in.
Oh, he didn't want to attend, Voodoo people out there. He didn't want to go. That's half the problem. Oh, his feels right. Yeah, but the victim's parents were sat in court waiting for him to turn up. He should have been made to go. And bollocks to his human rights. What about the human rights of those victims? I don't want to say, minor people. I just don't want to use those words. Do you get me? But all the victims, because some of the victims didn't actually unalive. There was a teacher that managed to survive, but she got all the children to run for their lives type of thing. So I think I've said enough with this. I don't think I want to go any deeper. It's basically Julia expressing her well-honed opinion, which is pretty much in line with my opinion. Really should have had, sort of short tree with a shorter rope. Or big tree. No, actually a long, very tall tree with a very short rope. I think that would just about, I've said enough. Anyway, bye-bye, wherever you are in the world. Have a wonderful afternoon, evening, morning or good night. And don't let the buggers get you down. Bye-bye now.